It's all like the dirty work. And we're always like, we wish we had a field crew. We're the field crew. We do all the work on the field. Whenever something needs to be done, it's us doing it. You don't have somebody that comes and drags the field every day, like pulls weeds on the field. We're doing that. So I feel like it's all the things like that of us going through it that we just bond, and it has more of that family vibe to it. Is we do more activities, honestly, that we dread, but it brings us all together.
As I understand it, you guys are getting a major facelift to the field. So
Yes.
are they making you do the construction too, or do they have like a whole crew for that?
So they had a crew for that, but we actually did lay sod.
Oh, you laid sod.
We
Okay.
laid sod on our field, and there was stuff that coach was not happy it was not getting done fast enough, so we did do that.
Wow. I actually think that's really cool, right? That you have a genuine ownership of that process. It kind of makes sense as to how the team has continued to get better over the years. Not only are you physically getting better weight rooms, reps in the batting cages, but you guys are building ownership of the team, not necessarily from a coach making you do it level, but we are Lenoir-Rhyne Softball. Like, we don't play softball here. We are softball here. Welcome to another episode of How Tall Will They Be? We don't even try to answer that question because we just don't know, right? There's no way to know how tall somebody's going to be. It's just not really possible. But today we have Cassidy Wall. Cassidy Wall is a softball player for Lenoir-Rhyne, MVP of the SAC tournament. Took Lenoir-Rhyne as a team leader to the Final Four last year. Also hits a whole lot of home runs. So Cassidy, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent. Excellent. So for those listening for the first time, How Tall Will They Be is a show about recruiting. It's about youth sports. It's about college sports. But we talk to people who are dealing with what they know, not what they heard. We deal with people who are living the life of an athlete, the life of a coach, or the life of a recruiter. So if you're on the road for that long trip to the tournament in the middle of nowhere, this is for you. If you're about to fly somewhere, if you're booking a hotel, if you've ever had to stay at the Hampton Inn in an obscure city, this is for you. So Cassidy, we like to get started with, what is your earliest athletic memory?
I would say my earliest athletic memory doesn't even involve softball.
Okay.
It actually involves soccer. I used to play soccer when I was super young, and I remember I got kicked off of this team because I full-on tackled one of the players on the other team, like football tackled, and I got kicked from the team at that point.
Not kicked from the game, kicked off the team.
Yes.
So you were about that action from an early age, huh?
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever try football? Did you ever try tackle football or
No,
no?
I never tried tackle football, but I've always just played like pickup games with a bunch of guys, obviously, because no girls wanted to get involved in all that.
Okay. All right. And so you're aggressive and you
Yes.
want to go for the gold and want to go for the victory. How did you transition after being kicked off of that team?
I think just figuring something else out that I wanted to do.
Okay.
And at that time, I love softball more than I ever loved soccer. Soccer
Mhm.
was just something I did on the side. And then when that happened, I was like, I don't think that's what I should do anymore. I should go this other direction.
Okay. So when did you start playing softball?
I was about the age of 6.
So from 6 until this very day, you have played
Yes.
softball.
Yes.
A lot of people burn out on things. We like to talk about things that happen honestly on this show. What caused you not to burn out? Or were there periods where you thought, you know what, this isn't for me, and you overcame those?
So that's a great question. And I did have a really hard period in my softball career where I did want to quit. I didn't want to do it anymore. I was playing for a 14U team, but I had to bump up to the next age group. And I didn't like the 16U coach, so my parents tried to bump me straight to the 8th, which I
Okay.
was playing with girls that were juniors and seniors in high school, and I was just a rising freshman. I was super young at the time, and I think I was just going through so much stuff. The coach was super strict, which I've played for before. It wasn't anything new to me, but it was just all in my head. I thought if I failed, people were going to view me in different ways, and it was just all going to come down on me. And I just felt like everyone was up here, and I just didn't. I told my parents, I was like, I'm quitting. I don't want to do this anymore. And they had told me if you quit, you will regret it. You will regret it for the rest of your life. And I always just like kind of had that thought in the back of my head. And this is going to sound crazy, but how I overcame this is my family actually adopted a dog, and his name was Chief, and he was an English bulldog. And I want to be a vet when I grow up, so I'm super attached to animals.
Okay.
And they adopted him, and I just felt like he saw something in me that nobody could see. I felt like he just believed in me. He was just like a super companion to me. So we got him registered as the ESA dog, and he went to every tournament, every practice, and whenever I felt like I was in this bubble of kind of fear, I would look over and I would see him, and I'd be like, Chief doesn't care what I do right here. He's still going to love me no matter what.
Wow. That is a first. I have not heard of an emotional support animal helping somebody to overcome. But again, that's why we have the show. And that just shows that there's so many different ways to overcome obstacles, overcome challenges. But I want to go back to the idea of playing up. So this is something that a lot of young athletes do. A lot of parents encourage their young athletes to do, regardless of the sport: softball, lacrosse, football, basketball, whatever. Always talking about playing up. Was there a benefit to playing up?
I believe that if you are, the hardest thing for me obviously was mentally to do it. I had all the skills to be where I was. I never doubt that. I was just not strong enough mentally at the time to step up that big of a step. But I think it is always like when you talk about moving up in ages, I always was one to like, I'm going to guest play with these older teams to try and gain more talent or get things from these older players that younger players don't have. My parents were always one that pushed me that like, when you do guest play, you're going to guest play with these teams that are older than you and just push people. I think there is a really good benefit to just learning more aspects about the sport in that way.
So before we go any further, we got to explain to the listeners, what is guest play? Because a lot of people aren't familiar with that term.
So guest playing is where you're with your normal team and then someone may come to you on a weekend that your normal team is not playing and be like, hey, I need a player to play because one of their players got sick or is injured and they just need someone to come play on their team for one weekend. And so you will just go play with that one other team. You don't know anyone on the team normally. Sometimes you may know a few people, but just going over and playing with that team for that weekend.
Okay. Is that a common thing in softball? Because,
yes.
Okay, so coming from a football and a basketball background, that is like you tackling somebody. That'll get you kicked off the team. Right. They don't really, I'm just going to go play with this team for a weekend and I'll be back with you guys. So guest play is something that's commonly accepted in softball ranks.
Yes. And some coaches are very against it, but there's a lot of coaches that see the good in it. You're going to go play. You're playing an extra weekend that we aren't. You're going to get better. You're seeing live pitching. You're getting reps in. So a lot of coaches are like, fine, go do that and get better.
Okay. What about the idea of rest or overdoing it at a young age? How many weekends were you playing youth softball per year?
Oh boy. You probably played, every other weekend, if not every weekend during the summer.
Okay.
And then in the fall, you played a little bit less, but the summer was like your heavy season of softball. And then you have the winter, or then you have like a shorter fall season, then you have the winter completely off. And then for spring, you play high school softball normally. But it's all year round. And that's just where some people struggle because they don't love the sport enough to want to continue to do it all the time. They want to go to birthday parties or they want to go hang out with friends or do whatever, but you just have to be committed that this is what I want to do because I do love this sport so much.
Okay. That makes sense. Commitment is going to be necessary for success anywhere you go. But I want to get into, now you made some success as a rising freshman. Talk about high school. How did you make your way onto the school varsity team? How did you do on that varsity team? And then we'll get into recruiting and how you were recruited.
I would say in high school, our softball team was very bad.
Okay.
And they were not great. So it was fairly easy for me as someone who plays travel ball all the time and was very good at that age to go and try out, and I got picked up. I mean, they allowed me to come play or whatever, and I succeeded very well. I mean, our conference was not great in high school. So for me, about the recruitment piece of it, it was really all about travel ball.
Okay.
We didn't have anybody coming. I mean, there were no coaches at our high school games and stuff like that. And I know that's different for other sports. A lot of people get recruited from from college coaches watching them in high school. But for me, it was all about showcases and travel ball and stuff like that.
So when did you start hearing from college coaches?
Probably when I was in 14U, so I was at the age of 14 or 15.
Okay. And who were some of the early schools that reached out to you that you can remember?
I would say App State was one of the big ones.
Okay.
They would come and watch me. Furman came and watched me. James Madison. Those are just a few of them that stick out to me that I remember.
And where did you want to go? Right. Once you realize, okay, I love softball. I'm pretty good at softball. I think I can be great at softball. Where did you want to go?
So that's a great question because I had no idea going into it. I didn't care where I went. I just knew that I wanted to start and I wanted to play all 4 years in college. It didn't matter where I went. I wanted to stay remotely close to home so I could visit my parents.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, I just wanted to play, and that's all that mattered to me.
So when you were watching the College World Series, the Softball World Series, you never said, man, I really want to go play for one of those schools.
No.
Okay. Everybody has what they're looking for. That's a little different than a lot of young athletes. They'll see whatever on TV and they'll say, I want to go to that school that's on TV.
Mm-hmm.
But then let's now talk about you are a senior. You have kind of set in your mind that, hey, this is the type of environment I'm looking for. I don't necessarily want to ride the bench. I'm not really interested in taking a year or two to be behind somebody. How do you narrow down to where you are now?
I think it really comes just when you go on, like when I went on my, I guess, tour here. My sister went to Lenoir-Rhyne as well. So I knew the school very well before I even stepped on campus because I'd come to all her soccer games and I had just been around. So I was really comfortable with the campus. I liked how small it was. My parents had always told me if you went to a school for softball, but then your first year you stopped playing softball, would you still love to be there?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's a main piece too, making sure they have your major, what you want to do. You have a set plan before just kind of saying, this is where I want to go.
Okay. Let's describe Lenoir-Rhyne again for the people who might not be familiar. Where is it? What is it? Division I, Division II, Division III, NAIA? Is it a mythical school that doesn't exist that we're making up for the sake of this podcast? Let's describe Lenoir-Rhyne.
Lenoir-Rhyne is a really small school in Hickory, North Carolina. It is a Division II school for athletics.
Okay.
The population is about 1,500 kids.
Okay.
So it was about the size of my high school, I would say. You have about 30 kids in a classroom when you go to class, and I really liked that close feel with your professors. I didn't want to go to a big school where there's a bunch of kids in the room and your professor didn't know your name. I wanted a really close connection with my professors, knowing that I was going to be a college athlete. I was going to miss class. I wanted them to also root for me in my athletics. I wanted them to come see me when I would play and stuff like that.
So it sounds like there's never been a point of second guessing or disappointment about your decision to go to Lenoir-Rhyne. Is that correct? You're now at Lenoir-Rhyne. You are a college athlete. How was that transition from high school to college from a social perspective, but also from a work perspective? How much work did you have to do to adjust to the college game versus the high school game?
I think I came in a lot more prepared than some of the other girls on my team just due to the travel ball experience that I had. I was playing against girls that were really good. I played, my whole team in my 18, my last year of travel ball was full of D1 players except for 2 girls, which was me and one other girl.
Okay.
So I was playing around a lot of good talent and we were playing against some great talent. So I feel like I came into the game very well prepared, and when it came to just social aspect and stuff, it's completely different. You're on your own now. You don't live under your parents. They aren't constantly looking over you. I remember when I first got here, it was just me and another girl on my team as my roommate, And we literally looked at each other and we were like, well, what do we do now? So we were like sitting in our dorm, and then we just decided to go on a walk around campus and kind of see what was going on out there. And we did that for about a week until school started. Just every day we would walk around. We didn't really know what to do. But then once practice starts up, it feels more natural. Okay, I have a set time that I'm going to go practice. I have a set time where I'm going to go eat now. And then classes come into the picture. And it's really just a super busy schedule that you don't have much time to sit around and not know what to do. But I feel like I handled that very well coming in, knowing that I like schedule and I like very time incremented things. And so I feel like it fit really well with me.
So have you always been that schedule-oriented person, or is that something that you grew into via travel ball or just growing up?
I think just growing up, my dad is very time oriented, and my mom is as well, but my dad is really, whenever you go somewhere, you arrive 15 minutes early. And if you're not 15 minutes early, you're late. And he always told me that. So he was very structured. And this is what time we're leaving. We're planning out things for tomorrow. We're planning out things for next week, a week ahead of time. Like, it's always a set plan.
Okay. And describe that first year. How did the team do? How did you do?
So the first year, I thought it was the best thing ever. You go and you play about 60 games, and it was just really like, I knew I loved the sport, but then after playing it, I was like, I really love this sport and I love to be here. It was so like family atmosphere. Everybody supported everybody. We made it to the first round of regionals, and we ended up losing to North Georgia that year. And I remember the last day, I went out to my parents after we lost that last game, and I was just sobbing. And my mom's like, what is wrong? And I said, I feel like I've just lost 10 of my best friends, because we had 10 seniors that year and they were all graduating. And I feel like I was just like, this is the worst thing ever. I loved playing with them, and now they're all going to be gone. We didn't win the SAC tournament, and we didn't win the regular season. I ended up getting SAC Freshman of the Year, which was really cool. And we have this thing on campus that's called Bears Choice Awards, and it's all of the athletes at Lenoir-Rhyne come together, and you vote on like newcomer of the year or like just athlete of the year, comeback player of the year. We have it every year, and so it just depends. And that year, this was literally the best day of my life. I got SAC Freshman of the Year, and then Bears Choice Awards was the same day, and I got Newcomer of the Year. And I felt like it was so cool because everybody knew who I was at that time. Everybody knew who Cassidy Wall was. I really built a name for myself.
Well, congratulations. That sounds amazing. It also sounds like you built a really strong community around yourself. How did you do that? And can you talk about the importance of that for maybe a parent of a high school athlete right now, or the high school athlete themselves that is considering picking a school? How important is it to have the right community? How challenging is it to build that community where you go?
I think it's just, I was very quiet in high school, and when I got to college, I realized that I was going to have to come out of my shell to meet new people. I was going to have to get out there. So every day I went to class, and like the first day I walked into all my classes, I met everyone in the class. I met the professor, told him I was an athlete, just like tried to get my name out there. When there was stuff happening on the weekends, me and my roommate would always go and just try and get out there and meet new people. That was really important for the two of us, is we just wanted to meet as many people as we could. And then it started turning into, you had really good friends on the lacrosse team. You had really good friends on the baseball team. Even just in your dorm at night, you would walk out of your door and go upstairs and you'd meet all these new people. We had some really good friends on the women's basketball team my freshman year. So I think it's just really trying to get out there and talk to people.
Okay. Now we're transitioning into year 2. But before we go to year 2, was NIL ever a discussion for you? Was it ever something that played into your thoughts, how you picked a school, whether you wanted to stay at a school? Have you had anybody approach you for NIL deals?
I would say NIL has been the biggest thing this year. Before this year, it had not even been a thought in my mind.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that.
I've had a lot of my teammates are doing this thing that's called LR merch.
Okay.
And it's where I guess you sign a deal. I don't know much about it, but you sign a deal and then you get merchandise that has your name on it and stuff like that. And they've it's just a really popular thing at the school that a lot of athletes are doing. And that's the first I've ever kind of heard about it or heard people that I know doing it.
So do you partake in any NIL or no?
I do not.
Is it something that you want to do, or have you like avoided it actively?
I feel like everyone does it. And I'm like, I don't want to be a follower. Like, I don't want to do what everybody else does.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I've seen it.
And have you been approached to transfer? The idea of transferring, well, two big ideas. The NIL and transferring are two major changes to college sports across all levels in the last few years, right? It is truly a pivotal moment. But has anybody approached you to transfer? Have you ever considered transferring? Have you been impacted by transfers at Lenoir-Rhyne?
I have not.
To all?
To all three. I've been approached jokingly, like, oh, we want you so bad at our school. But I'm like, yeah, I'm not leaving. I've been approached like that. I've been with one transfer my whole time at LR. And she transferred. She went to a school fall of her freshman year and then transferred here.
Okay.
So she came here in the spring.
So just not big on transfers. But I do want to get your thoughts on, because there was news that came out from the football world. Diego Pavia just successfully got an injunction that states that JUCO years do not count towards your eligibility anymore, which theoretically means that a athlete can be in college for 6 to 7 years, not as a super senior, but just I did 2 years of junior college and now I'm doing 4 years of Division I, Division II, or Division III schooling. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, good for them. I wish I could do that too. I wish I got more years to do what I love. It's cool that they get to do that, I guess.
Okay.
That's all I really have to say on it. I mean, good for you. I wish that I could play more years, but I can't. It doesn't all work like that. So
I think that's a good point, right? You're an athlete now, right? You've experienced the joys of success. You've been in the weight rooms, the lunch rooms, the parties, the bus rides, the plane rides, all that stuff. And you're saying, I would love to have more of this. But go back to your 16-year-old self or 17-year-old self, and you're trying to get in. And now you've got people who are in college for an additional 2 years, right? How do you think that will impact a high school athlete? And what advice would you give to that high school athlete?
I would say it's probably really scary for them because they're like, someone is getting much more. I mean, you get to see the sport more. You get to play the sport more. I mean, realistically, you should be better at it. I mean, they're going to be great and you're going to be just coming in as a freshman, not really knowing.
Mm-hmm.
But I would take it as motivation. I would work harder at what you're already good at, work harder at what you're not great at. I would continue to be better, and just continue to be great and use it as motivation that there's always going to be somebody out there that's going to be better than you, no matter if it's some guy that's been here for 7 years or if it's someone your same age. There are always going to be people out there that are better. So I just say, like, keep your head down, stay focused on yourself. Don't really look out into other paths. My mom always told me to run my race. It's not about the people next to me doing the same thing. It's about what I'm in line to do. And so I would just say, keep your head down, keep working hard, and just believe in yourself.
Okay. Well, this is, again, a fluid situation. It seems like every day there's something new that's coming out, literally something new that's coming out. But that makes a lot of sense, making sure that people do their own thing, run their own race, focus on what you can control. So you're now into your second year of college. What would you say was the biggest takeaway from year 2? Usually that first year is a shock. Sometimes it's a honeymoon, but that second year, you're not about to graduate, but you're also not new anymore. That's when things get real. So tell us about that.
So I think during my second year, I just realized that I've always been a perfectionist and I want to be perfect, and that's not obtainable. And I don't like that answer. And everybody tells me that you can't be perfect. You can't be perfect. But in my head, somehow you can. And I don't like the fact that people tell me when I can't do things. So it was just all about being better. I didn't like the fact that I just got freshman of the year. I wanted to get athlete of the or like player of the year, and I wanted to be on first team. I got freshman of the year and I was on second team all conference. I wanted to be the star of the show. I wanted to be athlete of the year. I wanted to be an All-American. I still want that to this day. So I just realizing that, yeah, this is cool, but it's not exactly what I want. I want more. So it just drove me to keep working, going out to the cages late at night, always putting in extra reps any way that I can, and just continuing to push through and get better.
So you mentioned going to the cages late at night. I was going to ask, what did you change about your routine? So you've seen success, right? You know that what you do works to a point, right? Freshman of the year, there's only one of those, right? Newcomer of the year, there's only one of those, right? But you said, I wanted to be All-American. I wanted to be first team. What did you change from year one to year two?
I think every day at practice, I was just giving 100%. Nothing. You never had any days where you just went through the motions. You always gave everything you did 100%. And then on top of that, single night besides weekends, but every single night through the week, I was going to the cages at 8, 9 o'clock. And the softball cages didn't have lights. So I was going down to the baseball cages and turning on the lights. And I would make my boyfriend now, I would be like, come throw to me. Please come throw to me. And he's on the baseball team. And he always would just come throw to me. Or some of my teammates sometimes. I'd be like, come throw to me, please. I need more reps. And then it would get some of them to come out as well, which always made me feel good that I'm putting in the work, but also I'm getting my teammates to come put in work as well.
Well, you mentioned being shy when you first got to campus, but it sounds like you've stepped into a leadership role. How did you do that?
I think just coming in, all through high school, I'd always led through action, I guess, or through example.
Mm-hmm.
And stepping in, after my first year, my coach pulled me into her office and told me that I was part of this thing called BLA, which is Bears Leadership Academy. Okay. And she picks 2 people from the team. It was me and this other girl. And she's like, I want you to go to this. I want you to sit in on it and take notes. And then I want you to bring what you learned back to the team. And it's all about just leadership skills, how you lead a team to success. And then every single year you stay in it. But going to that, I really realized that she wants me to do this and she really sees me as a leader on this team. I really just need to step up and I need to start using my voice to lead.
And was that an easy switch to flip, or did it take some time? Were there some awkward moments where you were like, yay, go guys, come on?
Yeah.
Or was it more of a, hey, I've always been able to do this, but I just hadn't done it before?
It's been hard because I love all my teammates and I'm still learning to this day how to get past the part where I need to tell them to do something when they don't listen to me the first time or something like that. I'm very good at supporting you. I will yell for you and I will support you all day long. That's easy. The hard part is, hey guys, we need to clean this up. We can't have only one person picking something up. We all need to pick stuff up because I don't want to be seen as the mean person. But I think I'm just now realizing that when I say that stuff, they respect me on another level of saying that because they know that I am a leader on the team and I feel that they respect me.
Do you take cues from your coaches in that way, right? Are your coaches more vocal? Are they more direct and you take cues from that, or are you trying to kind of blaze your own path?
I would say I definitely take cues from them, but sometimes when they don't say anything and there's something that needs to be said, I will say something. And coach may call me in her office the next day, but it's normally, hey, thanks for saying that.
Okay.
It's normally just I'm kind of her voice on the side of just guiding them. But also as well, there's certain people on the team that they don't talk back to coach because she's coach, but they'll come back to me and not talk back to me, but they'll come to me with problems. And since I'm on the team, it's easy for me to figure out the problems within the team without it going up to coach.
It comes back to that point about relationships. It sounds like you've made horizontal relationships with your teammates and also vertical relationships with your coaches and administrators, which is really important. I want to dive deeper into fit again, right? This is going to help a lot of people, a lot of athletes, a lot of parents in their conversations about where do you want to go next, right? What would you say are the benefits of being at a Division II level versus a Division I level?
Well, my biggest benefit was I got to start my freshman year, and I've played in every single game all 3 years. There hasn't been a game where I have missed. I've got to start in every game, and I've got to play in every single game all 3 of my years so far here. And that was really big for me because why am I going to go and play softball out of school, but I'm not actually going to play? I'm just going to sit the bench. I never liked that idea. I don't really care about the name across my chest. It was about me actually playing and me being on a team and doing what I love. I also feel that at a Division II program, there's more of a family feel to it. And I will never actually know. I'm sure at D1 schools, there's that family feel too. But at the D2 level, I just feel like we are so close and we bond so well as a team. Our coach makes sure that we do everything you can think of for team bonding. We go camping. We go on a bunch of horrible trips that we all hate. We go paintballing.
Oh, wait, you can't just say it's a horrible trip and not tell us. Give us it's a horrible trip.
My freshman year, we come in and she tells us we're going camping. We're like, okay, it can't be bad. We get there and she takes all of our phones, which, okay, we can survive without phones. We set up tents and we sleep in tents on the ground. All of us hated it. She got to stay in a nice cabin with air conditioning, with a bathroom, everything. But we all stayed in tents.
So it just sounds like camping. You literally just went camping.
So that was camping. Then she made us go paintballing.
Okay.
None of us had ever been. And we don't have proper clothes. We all just wear sweatpants and a t-shirt. We didn't understand that when you get shot with a paintball, it hurts.
I got to call timeout. You had to have some seniors on this team that knew the coach was like this, and they never warned you, hey, sweatshirts might be beneficial for you today.
I guess they just wanted us to suffer.
But it sounds like it was really good team building. Those sound like stories when you have your 20-year reunions and 30-year reunions. You'll talk about we had to sleep on a tent and actually camp while Coach was able to drink hot chocolate and read a book around the fire. So, but it's interesting that you say it has a family feel on the Division II level. Do you think part of that is that you're still able to play the sport for the sport and there's not as much NIL and transfer, and it's still what we might call the traditional college experience?
I definitely believe that's part of it. It's not as strict and upright. It's very laid back. It's kind of what you want to do with it. Not that it's not strict. Our coach is very strict and our program is very strict on what you do. But it's not all about the show, I guess. It's all like the dirty work. And we always talk that we're always like, we wish we had a field crew. We're the field crew. We do all the work on the field. We do all the hard work. Whenever something needs to be done, it's us doing it. You don't have somebody that comes and drags the field every day, like pulls weeds on the field. We're doing that. So I feel like it's all the things like that of us going through it that we just bond, and it has more of that family vibe to it. Is we do more activities, honestly, that we dread, but it brings us all together.
So, as I understand it, you guys are getting a major facelift to the field.
Yes.
So are they making you do the construction too, or do they have like a whole crew for that?
So they had a crew for that, but we actually did lay sod.
Oh, you laid sod, okay.
We laid sod on our field, and there was stuff that coach was not happy. It was not getting done fast enough, so we did do that.
Wow. I actually think that's really cool, right? That you have a genuine ownership of that process. And so as long as that building exists, as long as there is grass there, you will say, I put that grass down.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. So it kind of makes sense as to how the team has continued to get better over the years. Not only are you physically getting better weight rooms, reps in the batting cages, but you guys are building ownership of the team, not necessarily from a coach making you do it level, but we are Lenoir-Rhyne Softball. Like, we don't play softball here. We are softball here. So let's talk about the run to the Final Four. Did you expect that? Or was that kind of like, man, we're kind of on a heater right now?
They called us the Comeback Bears last year. So early on in the season, we always joked at the end of the season last year, like, if you were to go back in February or March, like, would you ever think we would make it this far? And everyone's answer is no. You would have thought the way we looked, we came out and I think we lost like our first 5 games against
Wow.
non-conference people, but like we were not there at all. And I think we realized after that, like, we have to get our stuff together. If we want to play, we have to get our stuff together. We lost, so we were doing okay in season. Then we go and we ended up losing so we were playing Catawba that day and we lost our first game. We always play doubleheaders in Division II. Like, every game's doubleheader.
So break that down. Like, when's game 1, when's game 2?
So
for those who don't understand, like, how does travel work?
So normally our first game is at 2 and our second game's at 4. It's never lines up that way. It's only 2 and 5. You travel, you just go there or they come here and you play once and that's it.
Okay.
It's not like where you go back and forth. You don't play like 3 games. You only play 2. You can split, which I think is the stupidest thing, where we can win a game and then we can lose a game.
Okay.
So it's not like you can't win a series. We consider like winning a series when you win both games, but that's technically a sweep. So that's a little bit what it's like. You're just going down there, like in a random Wednesday in the middle of the week. We'll go down to Newberry, which is like 2 hours away. We'll drive down there and play, and then we'll come back home. You get home late at night, but you got to go to school the next day.
So it's okay. But you were talking about how during the season you were playing Catawba, and then what?
Yes, so we were playing Catawba, and Catawba was very beatable. Like, we should have beat them. We should have stomped on them. We should have run-ruled them.
Oh my goodness. If somebody from Catawba hears this, are you trying to fight them?
If they want to, they know this exact game from last year, and I guarantee they know what I'm talking about. So one of the girls at the end of the game even came up to me and was like, I don't even know how we just won. So they expected to come in and get beat. And we lost the first game. I don't remember the score, but I just remember we lost the first game to them. And we always meet in the huddle before the second game begins. And our coach talked to us just like, it was embarrassing, whatever. And one of our 5th years stepped in and she was yelling at us, and she was very angry. And she said this was the only chance of me getting a ring, because that's just what she believed. And it made a lot of people very angry that that's how she reacted. And she went into yelling at us and all of that stuff. They just believed it's not what a leader should do. And I believe she could have went about the issue a lot of different ways. That's just how her emotions expressed. We had a meeting not the next day, but the day after that. And we all sat down in a circle, and everybody was just like ranting at her that they didn't think that was right. She apologized to the group. And ever since then, I feel like we all just were kind of like, all right, let's go then. And just like, it was like a flip of a switch, and everybody just kind of got it together. And we did actually get swept by Catawba that day too. And I feel like that had something to do with it as well. We lost both games, and people were like, what are we doing? We just got swept by Catawba. What is happening?
Catawba a rival or something? Because I get a sense that there's a little more to this.
So Wingate is actually our number 1 rival.
Okay.
So beating them twice was the best day. I think that's when we thought we won the World Series. That was we beat them in the SAC tournament and the regional. But Catawba I think it was just last year. If you ask anybody about that game, we just should not have lost that game. And now we have this built up, like, why did we lose that? And so it makes us kind of rub against Catawba, but I wouldn't say there's that rivalry there. There's a lot of girls that are friends on the team, so it was just very angry that we got beat by them.
Got you.
Yes.
So let's talk about, you get into the tournament. Let's talk about the conference tournament. You had an MVP run in the conference tournament. Talk about that.
I remember beating Catawba in the conference tournament, and we came back in extra innings, and we had one of the girls on our team hit a walk-off home run, and we actually beat them in extra innings. So that was our first comeback Bears kind of appearance. Then we ended up losing to Wing It, and that was our first loss, and it's a double elimination tournament.
Okay.
So that was on Saturday. On Sunday, we come back, and I don't remember who we beat in the tournament to make it to us playing Wing It again. So then we come back to Wing It, and we ended up beating them the first game, and we were like, this is always how it happens. We always come back, we beat them the first game, but then we're going to lose the second game. Like, I swear that's what everybody on the team thought. Like, this is always how it works out. So we ended up, it was a really close game, back and forth. It was the top of the seventh, and they were the home team. And I came up to hit, and I just remember thinking, like, I mean, there's nothing to lose here. There's really nothing to lose. So I come up, and she throws this pitch. It was first pitch, and I hit it out, and we take the lead in the top of the seventh. And I remember rounding the bases, like screaming in all their faces because I was just so excited. It was the best thing ever. And I went back in the field after that had happened. We just have to hold them for 3 outs. And I remember I'm sitting out there literally shaking, and I'm like, there's no way this is happening. Like, this is not real. And we got the 3 outs, and then we ended up making it to, like, the next weekend where you had to be, like, they have it on 2 sides, and then the winner of each side plays for the actual championship. But that was our championship. Like, we did not care. We knew that whoever we're going to play on the other side was not going to be anything like Wing It. Wing It is really good, and we just knew going into it that whoever we had to play on the other side of it was not going to be as good as Wing It, so they're definitely beatable. So when we beat Wing It, that was just, we knew we won the whole thing at that point.
So I took a couple things from that story. Number one, the girl that got kicked off the soccer team for tackling people never went away. That never went away. And I love it. I love the fire. I do. Seeing the same obstacle and finally overcoming it, right? We always do this. We come back. We might get one, but we don't get the other half. We, take a step, but we don't let the other foot come down across the line. How did it feel to finally overcome that?
It was, I just feel like the best day of our lives. Like, we dogpiled all over their field, and it was like beating Wing It was something that we had always wanted to do, and we had never done it. They run ruled us in the regular season.
They run ruled you?
Yes.
What?
So coming back and beating them was everything to us.
But that talks to resolve. Where does that come from? And softball is not an individual sport. So it's not like, let's say, a tennis or a golf or even track and field to an extent where, look, me will just work harder. I will figure this out. I will go and overcome this on my own. How did you really, I know you had the circle meeting and the team meeting to clear the air, but really, what do you think drove the team coming together to overcome?
I really think we all just had the attitude of, what do we have to lose? We have nothing to lose. We're going to go in and we're just going to enjoy every day like it's our last, and let's see how far we can really go.
Wow. And so you win the tournament. You get your MVP, right? Were there any other awards last season? Like, did you win MVP of the league? Or?
No, that was it.
Okay. Of course, you couldn't be newcomer of the year because you weren't a newcomer. But let's talk about the D2 tournament. You're not done after the conference tournament. Let's describe how it was making it to that stage, what it was like playing on that stage, and making it to the Final Four.
So then we went, after we won the tournament, and we had to play our first round of regionals, which in any of my years, we had never made it to what we call super regionals. So it's kind of lined up just like the tournament is. The region, we're like in the southeast region, it's split into 2. So there's a region played here. It's like the first seed and the second seed host certain teams. So Wing It, of course, was the second seed. So that's where we went. And we were at Wing It, and then North Georgia.
Wait, you were seeded lower than Wing It even though you had beat them?
Yes, because they won the regular season.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So we were seated below Wingate, even though we had beat them in the SAC tournament because they had won the regular season. So we go to Wingate, and it's literally a rerun of the SAC tournament. We go down there, we win, we lose first against Wingate. Then we have to come back, end up beating Wingate twice. Off of this was not some crazy home run that happened. It was just like a normal base hit. We scored a run. Still, we dogpiled their field. Still amazing. But we, in my 2 years before that, we had never made it past the first round of regionals. In my first year, we got beat by North Georgia, who was the number 1 seed. In my second year, we got beat out by Wingate. Well, this year, we had beat Wingate. And so now we're going to super regionals.
Okay.
And that was really cool. And that's kind of where it hit me like, oh crap, like we are in this thing now. Like we win super regionals, we're going to the World Series. So like, let's ride this out. Let's see, like, just let's keep like grinding and just going through and putting in the work and just giving everything your all. Because you may never get back here again. That's what I kept telling myself. You may never come back to super regionals. If you get past there, you may never go to the World Series again. So why not give everything 2,000% just because you never know if you'll be back. So then we go to super regionals, and North Georgia was very good. In our first game out, they run ruled us 11-3.
You got run ruled in super regionals.
Mm-hmm. And
boy.
then we came back the next day, and the first game we beat them like 2-1 in extra innings, and then we had to play them again, and we ended up run rolling them that last game of the super regional. And one of our like star pitchers on our team, her name was Lauren Rakes. She hit 2 home runs in the same inning.
Your pitcher hit 2 home runs.
Yep.
Well, look at that. All right. So now you guys are on to the World Series, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And so did you dogpile their field too? Because you've been, you
Yep,
know,
we did,
dogpiling everybody's field.
Yep. I remember our center fielder caught the last out, and I remember it going up, and I'm playing right field, and I see her catch it, and I turn, and she has the biggest smile on her face, and we just run and just jump into each other's arms, and then we take a turn, and we start sprinting for the dog pile at the pitcher's mound.
Memories for a lifetime, genuinely. So now you're on to the World Series.
Yep.
How'd that go?
We got there, and it was just, there was so much. You had to try and soak in everything you could. I do remember us showing up to the fields, and they weren't as nice as we thought they were going to be. We were like, this is where we're playing? I mean, our home field is nicer than where we played.
Oh, I thought you meant like the people weren't nice.
No,
I
no,
get
no.
what you're saying, like the facilities.
The facilities were not as nice, yeah.
Okay.
The hotel was nice, and we got free stuff, so that was cool. But I just remember we thought we're like, our home stadium is nicer than this field that we're playing at, and we're supposed to be at the World Series right now.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of a downfall to it, but we were like, maybe this is good. Maybe the field doesn't look as nice, so we won't hype it up so much in our heads as this is a big thing. I really do think some of the players on our team kind of stepped in and was like, it's too much for me. There's a lot going on, and they kind of showed that they can't compete at that level. But I do think, I mean, we just gave it our all, and then I think at that time we did kind of burn our flame out. Because the teams there were nothing like the people we had beat in our region and even our SAC tournament. I think we just kind of got tired and gave out.
Got it. Well, look, it's a lot of positive that came over these 3 years for you. And as we're getting close to the end of this episode, what are you looking forward to most for this year 4?
I think just knowing it's my last go-around, it's the last time that I will ever touch a softball. So I'm stepping into every day and taking everything that I can from it. And I'm just excited about that, just being around my teammates and getting to play the sport I love one last time.
And so my last question will be 2-pronged. First, what would you give to the young athlete that is picking up softball for the first time, and they look at Cassidy Wall and they say, oh my goodness, she's in college. I want to be like her. How can I get that far? And what would you also say to the high school athlete that is showing a lot of promise, that is committed, that is figuring out ways to try and be the best that they can be, but is unsure of how do I get to the next level?
So for the little girl, I would just say never, ever settle and never dream for something small. If you want something, you dream for it and you continue to dream for it and you're going to get it. Just keep your goals high, keep your head high, enjoy what you're doing now because it's going to get way more complicated the more you go up. And if you just enjoy everything you're doing right now with the sport and just really enjoy going out and stepping on the field every day. And then for the high school athlete, I would say just keep your head down and keep working and never settle for like, oh, I'm okay, I'm good. Like, don't be that person. Always want to be better. Always know that there's someone out there that's better than you. And you just continue to work and work and work and you want to be the best.
Cassidy, thank you so much for your time today. Your insight has been great. We are cheering for the Bears. How Tall Will They Be is now a Bears supporter, and we are looking forward to a great season. So this has been another great episode of How Tall Will They Be? Thank you guys again, and we'll see you soon.